number 27, this is 3.1 conditional statements. Put your name on your paper. And then basically we're talking about counterexamples and validity of statements. So to determine if something is valid or not, you're basically determining if it's true or if it's false. So validity of a statement refers to whether the statement is logically correct or if it's not correct. If it's false, you need to provide a counter example of why you are saying it's false. So we're going to go through a couple of these. We're going to skip some as well. So it says determine the validity of each statement. So if it's true or false. If the statement is false, provide a counter example. So numero uno says the sum. What does sum mean? Yeah, go grab one over there. Adding any two consecutive numbers or integers or numbers is always odd. Does anybody know what consecutive, an example of consecutive integers are? Not the same. How are they different though? They're next to each other. So like 1 and 2. What? That's okay, I guess. Oh, it's locked. Is it part 2 that's locked? You're doing module 2, part 2. Okay, pause momentarily. Okay, anyways, so basically 2 numbers that are next to each other, like 1 and 2, if I add them together, is that odd? Yes. Is there an example of this where it's not going to be odd? No, right? So this is true. So we just put true. Okay, number 2 says the product, try to multitask, my brain's like freaking out. Says the product of 2 numbers is always larger than the either original number. Nope, this is not true. This is false. I need to provide a counter example. Does anybody know 2 numbers that you can multiply that it's not larger? What? 1 times what? 1 times 1 works. I don't know. I don't want to do decimals. Okay. 1 times 1. 1 times 1 is 1. It is not larger than the other one. Also, negative numbers. If I do -2 times 3, that's -6. That's not larger than the original numbers. So that's false. So basically, if it's false, you need to write a counterexample. So it says, for the next one, it says, if the area of a rectangle is 6 centimeters, then the dimensions must be 2 by 3. That is false. What is a counterexample for that? 1 and 6. I could use a length of 1. I could use a width of 6. If I do length times width, that is still 6. So this is false. So take a second, read number 4. We're going to skip number 5. So try number 4 in your brain. I like candy. Does anybody know this is false? Why is this false? What's a counterexample? Dividing by 2 always results in a number less than the original number. Well, that would prove it's true. 1 divided by 2 is 1. No, you need something. It says it's less.
If we divide 6 by 2, wouldn't that be 3? It would be less than the original.
That's true. Yeah, but there's something else that would make this false. -50. divided by 2. That's weird. If I took a negative number, we forget about negatives. I take a negative number and I divide by 2, that's negative 25. Negative 25 is technically not less than negative 50. Negative 25 is more. So your negatives are where it would be backwards. Do you have a tardy pass? Okay. And then your paper's on the back thing. So try number 6. We're skipping number 5. I just fixed it. Okay, so if A times B equals 0, either A or B has to be 0. That's true. What would be a counterexample to that? Well, one of them 0. What? Well, one of them 0. It's saying either A or B has to be 0.
Oh, I read it.
Yeah. Okay, so that's why like this is weird because it plays mind games with your brain. So 7 says 2 angles that are a linear pair must be supplementary. This is where geometry comes into play. Yes, because a linear pair is a line, linear line. A linear pair makes a straight line. Supplementary means 180, so this is true. Let's cross out number 8 and let's go to number 9. So number 9 throws in a little bit of algebra 1. It says if 2 lines have opposite reciprocal slopes, mean reciprocal means you're flipping the fraction. Opposite means positive to negative, negative to positive. This is from algebra 1. When then they are perpendicular. So they're telling me if they're opposite reciprocal slopes, then they are perpendicular. If lines L and M have a slope of 3 and negative 1/3, what statement is valid? They're perpendicular. They're not parallel. Parallel lines from algebra 1 have the same slope. So if they had a slope of 3 and then a slope of 3, parallel lines have the same slope. That's why they rise and run the same amount. They never cross because they have the same rate of change. Perpendicular have opposite reciprocal slopes. Does that sound familiar from algebra 1? Opposite reciprocal slopes. If not, I'm going to reteach it to you next week anyways. Not next week, but the week after. So 10 says if 2 angles sum to 90, then they are complementary. So they're telling me this statement. The statement is true. This is what they're telling me. They're giving me information. The measure of angle 1 is 60. The measure of angle B is 30. Take a second. Which conclusion is valid? So take a second. Read your different options. They're telling me this is a true statement. One of these statements I can say based on the information they give me. Who's going to go first? You go. Bring me your phone. Let him go. Let him know. Do we know that they're adjacent? Well, we don't know that they're adjacent. Typically they are. But we don't know they're adjacent, so we can't say they're adjacent. So adjacent is out. Are they supplementary? No, because they're complementary. Are they a linear pair? No, because that means they're supplementary. So no conclusion is actually valid. We normally assume they're adjacent, but technically we can have an angle that's like 60 degrees here, and then we add this random angle over here, which is 30 degrees, and they technically still add to make 90. They're not necessarily adjacent. So try number 11. Take a minute, read in your brain, let it confuse your brain, and try to figure out what it's saying. Good fun. Oh. Here, you want to talk to it? Yeah, grab that one on the floor. Okay, statement 1 says if a figure is a square, then it's a rectangle. Okay, they're just telling me that whatever they're telling me is got to be true. Statement 2, if a figure is a rectangle, then it's a parallelogram. Does anybody think they know the answer? It's technically A. It is A if you chose A. I'm going to explain this in a math term because I think it makes sense the way I explain it. Because words are confusing. So basically, if I say A equals B, you don't have to write this. If I say A equals B, just saying, and then if I say B equals C, then technically I could take out like this middle guy and I could say A equals C, which is called like the transitive property, which is what we're going to learn about next week. So what they're saying is if a figure is a square, then it's a rectangle. I can cross off this rectangle part. And if it's a rectangle, then it's a parallelogram. So basically I could take the first and last part of the sentence and smush them together. Are we having fun today? Isn't this great? This is so much fun. Yes, we love it. I don't like it either. Okay, moving on. Try 12 and 13. 12 and 13 are not bad. Try 12, try 13. Take a minute, breathe to yourselves. And then we're gonna start skipping some problems because we're not gonna spend all day reading multiple sentences. Nova, try 12, try 13. Oh, huh? Oh, okay. I was like, my brain. Okay, so what's 12? A. Because if they have the same slope, then they're parallel. If they have the same slope, they both have a slope of 2, then they're parallel. 13 says two angles have a sum of 180. The angles are supplementary. Angle A is 165 and B is 15. What's the conclusion can be valid? F. The angles are supplementary. Yeah. Okay, 14. 14 is weird. It says, what is a counterexample? So they're saying that there is a counterexample. So the statement that they're giving me is false. I have to pick something that's proving it's false. It says if the perimeter of a rectangle is 40, that has to be true. The area must be at least 1 square unit. Yeah. Okay. So first thing we're going to look for is there an option that tells me that my perimeter is something else? Which one tells me my perimeter is something else? D says the perimeter is 80 point, blah, 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 blah. This is out because they're saying if the perimeter of a rectangle is 40, it has to be 40. Okay. Then the area must be at least 1 unit. So they're telling me my perimeter is not 40. So this one's automatically out because I'm not comparing it to that. If my perimeter is 40, the area must be at least 1 square unit. So let me look at my areas because the rest of them say perimeter 40, perimeter 40, perimeter 40. Now let's look at the area. We're finding a counter example. It says at least 1 square unit. So I need something less than 1 square unit. It says the area is 100. That satisfies this statement. I need something that counteracts it. B says an area of 0.1999999 square units, and C says an area of 75. So which one counteracts what they're telling me? B. So like, this is literally just like mind games. It's silly. Let's skip the rest of the front. So scribble out the rest on the front. So they do put like validity questions on your test, and you have to like determine if it's true or false and pick a counterexample that proves that the statement is false, which is silly. Okay. On the back, this is what's on your EOC. On the back, there's a few of these, which is so random. Okay. Basically, we need to rearrange sentences based on a given information. And basically make them negative, positive, and then also determine the validity of the statement, which means like, is the statement I just wrote, is it true or is it false? So there's this nice poster over here on the wall, okay, that kind of summarizes this. The only thing that hurts my soul is It's not in the same order as this, so like be careful. I'm gonna make a new one. So the conditional is always used as P to Q, which is some sentence, and it has to use the words if P, then Q. So for an easy example, a non-math example, to kind of get you understanding it, I said P says it is Valentine's Day. Q says it is February. The conditional statement is always like the original. So if I were going to mesh these together into a sentence using if and then, can anybody tell me the sentence?
If it's Valentine's Day, then it's February.
Perfect. So we're going to say if it's Valentine's Day, and we're going to shorten this instead of saying Valentine's because that's long. We're going to say V-Day. So if it is V-Day, comma, don't forget your comma, then, and the keywords are if and then. If it is Valentine's Day, then it is February. And for February, I'm going to put Feb because I don't want to write a million words because I hate writing sentences. So the converse of that is taking P, which is the front, and Q, and we are basically just flip-flopping. Oh, first off, I need to judge the validity. So if it is Valentine's Day, then it is February. Is that true or false? True. So we're going to put T in the back. Boop. The converse is Q, then P. So I need to put the front of the sentence in the back and the back in the front. So what's my new sentence? Perfect. So if it's February, then it is V-Day, or it's V-Day. So if it is February, then it's Valentine's Day. Is that true or is that false? That's false. Why is it false? Oh, because Valentine's Day isn't every day in February. So if it's February, then it's Valentine's Day. It's Valentine's Day season, but it's not Valentine's Day every single day. Okay. Because we have other days in Valentine or February. So inverse is this little squiggle. The squiggle is like making the sentence negative. So over there on my little poster, it says, if not P, then not Q. P and Q stay in the same order, but you're basically negating the sentence. You're making it negative. So you don't have to use the word not. You can use the word based on your sentence. You could use the word isn't, doesn't, not, something negative. Okay, so how could I make this a negative sentence? If it's not Valentine's Day, then it is not February. So the squiggle means not. So let's think. If it's not Valentine's Day, then it's then it's not February. What is it? No, that's not true. It's false. So if it's not Valentine's Day, then it's not February, because technically, like, you have another day in February that's not Valentine's Day also. It could be February 10th. That's not Valentine's Day, but it's still in February. Okay. The contrapositive is negative Q to negative P. You're making them negative and you're flipping the sentence. So what would be my sentence now? Perfect. So if it's not February, it's not Valentine's Day. Yeah. Oh, she doesn't want chicken salad chips? Yeah, tell her, let's do, is it even gonna come in time? Tell her to order me the other place that we get the Mexican place. Do you want a flats?
Okay.
Give me my usual and I'll cash after.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye. Okay, if it's not February, then it's not V-Day. If it's not February, then it's not V-Day. Then what is that? Is that true or false? True. Good. Sorry, I was on Tijuana Flats brain. Okay, biconditional is the only one in this little family that's like an oddball. Okay, so it's not an if-then form. It's in its own little format over here. You literally take P and then you put if and only if Q. Okay, so basically, we're gonna say the first part, which is it's Valentine's Day, if and only if it's February. Okay, so if and only if is the biconditional, and that's the one that's the least used because it's the most random. But it's Valentine's Day. If and only if it's February. Is that true or false? True. So we are going to put a little star really quick next to the conditional. The conditional is always usually the given sentence. This is on your midterm. So we're going to write a little note. The conditional and the contrapositive, no matter the sentence, will always have the same truth value. So if the first one's false, contrapositive is automatically going to be false. If the conditional is true, then automatically the contrapositive is also going to be true. They will always have the same truth value no matter what. So we're going to make a little note up here because this is on your midterm. It's a random question. So I'm going to put a little star. The star means that they have the same truth value. And obviously this one is not math related literally at all, but it gets you kind of used to writing the sentences. So we are going to skip a lot of these because I do not want you writing sentences a million times because it's annoying. It's pointless and it's stupid. And like, this isn't even math. So what are we doing? But I don't make the rules. So we are going to cross out. So you have a bunch. We are going to cross out something and then we're going to start one of them together and you can finish them. So scribble out 21. Cross out 22. Cross out 24. And 26. So take a second, cross those out. You do not have to do them. We're going to start 23 together. We're going to start this one down here and then you guys can finish it. And then you're going to take a picture of the back and then you'll upload it online over the weekend by the time you return on Monday. Okay. So let's start 23. 23, we're just going to worry about writing the sentences today. So for 23, it says, if two angles are vertical, then they are congruent. That is the conditional. They already gave me the conditional. So it's in if then format. That's why it doesn't say write the conditional. This front part is P. The back part is Q. If and then are already in the conditional. First off, is that a true or false statement? That's technically true. Okay, you should know that. Vertical angles are always congruent. So we're going to write we're going to write the converse. Perfect. If they're congruent, then they are vertical, which is technically false because I can have other angles that are congruent, but whatever. We're not going to worry about truth values. So if they are congruent, then they are vertical. You don't have to use literally every single word and flip the whole sentence. Just like flip it, make it grammatically somewhat correct. Like I left out the two angles are vertical. It's not that big of a deal. The inverse is where we negate the original sentence. Negate meaning negative. Perfect. So if they are not vertical, then they are not congruent because the converse was Q to P. The inverse is negative P to negative Q. What? Okay. Contrapositive is where we flip it and we make them both negative. So this is technically negative Q to negative P, which you don't have to write that stuff in the front. I think it's stuff in my brain. So what would this be?
It's not, that's not.
Perfect. If they're not congruent, then they are not vertical. And then biconditionals, that weirdo. What?
Oh,
Yes. So two angles are vertical if and only if they are congruent. So today's a lot of writing. I'm sorry. So you have 3 problems, 25, 27, and 28. So your homework is 25, 27, 28. You're going to take a pic and you're going to post it on Canvas. So get it done now because it's Friday. Write your little sentences and take a picture of it. Post it. Be done with it. Or anybody else's binder I need to grade today. But is it in order? Is it ready to be graded? Okay, bring it over here. Pink. 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 Yeah, put your foot back.
oh my gosh.